Hello and welcome back to another week of playing Pauper. I'm your host, Jake Stiles, and this week's deck is Simic Emerge. A version of this deck was submitted by Cryptic RVR, and I also took some notes from Nerd to the Core / Alex Ullman's article on Gathering Magic. I used a few of each of their ideas and came up with this deck, which is centered around the two common Emerge creatures from Eldritch Moon. So let's look at the pieces of this deck. Due to the Emerge mechanic that this deck is centered around, we want to have lots of cheap creatures to be able to sacrifice. So we have Elvish Mystic, which is a 1-drop that can ramp us for 1, so it can pay for Emerge by sacrificing itself as a 1-drop and reducing the cost by 1, but it can also ramp us by 1 at the same time, so it kind of counts as a 2-drop in that regard. We have 4 Coiling Oracle, which is a better version of the mono-green Elvish Visionary. Sometimes it draws you a card, but if it's a land, you get to play it for free, so it comes with an Explore effect stapled onto it. So 4 apiece of the Coiling Oracle and Elvish Visionary, 2 Civic Wayfinder, which can go find a land, so it ramps us for 3 by way of it sacrificing the 3-mana body, and also ramps us for a 4th mana by letting us make sure we hit our land drop on turn 4. Other creatures for sacrificing are 4 Fierce Empath, which can go find our Emerge creatures and then sacrifice itself to them, 4 Seagate Oracle, which can help us draw pretty much anything, 2 Llanowar Empath, which can help us draw a small creature or a big one, and the full 4 Muldrifter, which is a good threat in the air. We can sacrifice it to a bigger creature, or we can just hardcast it. The Emerge creatures we're using are the only ones we have access to. There are 2 common ones in Eldritch Moon. We're playing both. Wretched Gryff is good in that it can attack in the air, and that it draws you a card when you cast it, so it never puts you behind. 8 of the Horrid Swarm is good for clogging up the ground if you need to block, and 4/4 is pretty good for attacking. Our only non-creature spell in the entire deck is the 4 of Epic Confrontation, which is a very powerful fight card. It works well whenever we can get one of our Emerge creatures down to actually fight with, and sometimes we can pick off smaller things by using Epic Confrontation on one of our smaller creatures. Out of the sideboard, we have Aerial Volley against flyer decks, such as Mono Blue Delver, 3 Hydroblast versus red decks, such as Burning Goblins, 2 Relic of Progenitus against graveyard decks, such as Dimir Teachings. We also have the full 4 Gleeful Sabotage. Conspire is relatively easy to get in this deck, and it's very good against Affinity and other things that rely on artifacts. 2 Tangle against all-in aggro decks so that we can race them. We also have 2 Stormbound Geist, which is good against flyers, good against control since it dies twice, and the Undying mechanic specifically makes it good with our Emerge creatures since we can sacrifice this for a cheap Emerge creature and also get a 3/3 flyer at the same time. Since the deck is low on interaction, it relies on having a very good curve and hoping to be able to curve out into the Emerge creatures and start attacking with them as quickly as possible. Against decks trying to attack on the ground, we have a lot of ground creatures to block. Unfortunately, against flyers, we only have Muldrifter and Wretched Gryff to dispute them, so we have to get those down as quickly as possible against those type of decks. Anyway, I'm excited to try it out, so let's get to the games and see how we do. As always, don't forget that you can submit deck ideas to me by email at pauper@mtggoldfish.com or through Twitter at JakeStylesMTG.